With one last bite, Lance polished off the berry Vicky gave him. The berry he ate was white and the size of a large peach, with tiny edible seeds bringing a tang to its sweet, plum-like flesh. It's a small wonder Lance ate it so quickly. He ought to find Vicky and ask her where she bought the fruit, but that might have to wait until tomorrow. It's getting late. Lance tossed the fruit stem in a nearby bush while he walked home from the local park. However, with each step he took, Lance's right leg aches more and more. At first Lance ignored it, thinking all this walking was getting to him. But it only grew more intense. It eventually turned into a cramp so intense it forced Lance to kneel down and grasp his leg. He could feel the muscles twitching just beneath the tan denim. Not only that, but Lance's shoe is tightening over his foot. He reached down in an attempt to remove them and see what's the matter. Lance stops when he notices something dark is on the back of his hands. Lance lifts his hand up for a better look, and what the young man sees makes his eyes widen. Some sort of black hair was growing in thick patches on his hands, and it was spreading rapidly. Not only that, the palms of his hands were darkening, too. The skin growing tougher, thicker, calloused pads puffing out. Lance's fingers twitched when he felt his arms start to heat up. His muscles felt like they were on fire. It's because they were starting to bulk up, pressing against the shirt that confined them. The cuffs of Lance's sleeves were considerably tight, but they began to rip, causing more black hairs to spill out. Lance watched in horror as his fingers started to crumple in on themselves, his once dexterous thumbs being reduced to vestigial stumps. They weren't hands anymore. They were paws. Lance had paws now. His right shoe was bulging in an attempt to contain what's growing inside, but the moment the buckle snapped off, it was over. Clink pop. Lance's shoe practically exploded, revealing a hind paw coated in the same black fur as everywhere else. His furry toes were tipped with razor-sharp claws that reflected the moonlight above. No doubt these helped aid in the destruction of his footwear. Lance was turning into some hairy beast, but why is this happening? He remembered the fruit he ate. The berry Vicky gave to him. It was no ordinary berry. Was he drugged? Hallucinating? Was Lance knocked out and this a dream? The painful crunch of his bones starting to change told Lance otherwise. This was all very, very real. The young man doubles over when he feels his spine crack and pop, spinal cord squelching within the growing vertebrae, and it was all leading down just above his butt. Lance's tailbone throbbed out of rhythm with the rest of his body. Lance's shoulders widen, black fur peeking out from the rips in his yellow shirt. Lance's pained yells and curses grew deeper when his ribs grew, allowing more air to fill his expanding lungs. His left shoe meets the same fate as its sibling, with the paw wiggling off the red and white scraps. Lance grunts when he feels his heels stretch, pulling themselves upward and fuse with his ankles. The leg muscles bunch up, tearing the transforming man's pants even further until they resembled less like the denim cargo jeans they were, and more like ragged shorts. The growing pressure in Lance's coccyx reaches a breaking point, and he cries out when a tail covered in black fur erupts from a tear split from his clothes. The tail hang limp, its dark grey tip blowing in the night air. Lance's new tail begins to twitch when the fur consumes his head. His left eye stung, forcing Lance to close it. He could feel something creeping into his mind. An instinct, a call to run wild. And it only grows louder when he feels the transformation tear at the last remaining parts of his humanity. His screams were bellowing howls that hurt his pointed ears when Lance felt a pressure building in his face. His gums seared with agony, forcing his jaw open as his teeth sharpen into the daggers that were his lupine fangs. In his monstrous voice, Lance begged for the changes to stop. But no such luck. It has already come so far. One last surge of growth finally finished off the remains of Lance's clothing. Shreds of yellow and tan flutter to the ground, and his massive hind paw stomps his booty into the dirt. Lance gave out one last scream before his nose and jaw pushed out into a muzzle lined with sharp teeth and a wet nose that burned while it adjusted to its sensory upgrade. His eyes open, his blue eyes now glowing blood-red slits fixed in the middle of two black depths. He could no longer scream. All Lance could do was howl. Lance woke up with a start. The sun was shining through the window, And he's back in his room, sleeping on his bed. He's never really one to sleep above the covers. Must have been a hot night. Lance yawned, eyes bleary while he made his way to the bathroom. After a few splashes, and laps, of water, Lance shook himself off before looking at his reflection. Sleek black fur, pointed triangle ears, a muzzle set with razor fangs, a fluffy, long, wagging tail, and red irises in black sclera stared back at the permanent werewolf. Oh,